This month, as chosen on by our ever wise and noble group that is our supporters over at patreon.com/HMP, we are taking a look back at the incredible early career of one of the biggest days in comedy, nay, biggest names in Hollywood history this month on HMP. It's 80's Eddie Murphy. Welcome to Half-Ass Movie Podcast. Podcast, a show where we put together a half-ass theme as an excuse to watch movies. My name is Adam Portress, and joining me today, he longs for the day when booze in your coffee and a cigarette was considered breakfast. Shuns the Kovacs from the internet.
Am I not supposed to do that anymore? Is that just an 80's thing?
Well, it definitely made it into the 90s for a good bit.
It did for me.
Where it was still very much acceptable to just like, we're gonna Irish this bad boy up a little bit, just kind of smoke on the way out here, and we're gonna do it in public. That's the best part too. You're not, and you look at everybody else, and when someone calls you out on it, you look at them and go like, "What are you being so uptight for? Loosen up, baby."
Yeah, stop. What am I going for the Pope? Jeez.
Bruce is not here this week and everything. His name was Hot Dog at some point. I'm sure about that, much like a character in this movie. But we are back, everybody, and we are in the midst of June, and the Dirty Babies over at patreon.com/HMP have voted and demanded that we cover Eddie Murphy this month. And we decided to actually take a look at Eddie's early career. The 80's Eddie Murphy, and this is going to be a great tongue twister. That's almost why I kind of made it for myself this week.
80's Eddie Murphy.
80's Eddie Murphy. I even added another M because I'm such a glutton for punishment. 80's Eddie Murphy movies are on the docket this month. And what better way to kick off 80's Eddie with his big screen debut in 48 Hours, not just a canceled show on CBS. JK, that show's still going on the air, by the way.
You shocked me when you said that they canceled it.
I thought, I was like, for sure this, like when I wrote it, I was like, for sure this has to have been canceled. No.
There is a lady who is one of the reporters on that show who I don't know her real name, but every time she pops up on there, I'm like, oh, it's Mrs. Skeletor. That's what I call her.
Well, here we are. I'm Morley Safer. And you're like, oh, Morley Safer hasn't been alive for 15 years. How's he on this show now? Mm-hmm. Before we do all that and everybody, though, we want you to do us a favor. Head on over to the YouTube page there, or so many of the other places, because as of this podcast right now, the one that you're listening to is being live streamed on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. We are going out all over the internets here, so you can check us out wherever you find streaming stuff like that. And we appreciate all you guys there. We got the chat room, so if you want to chime in with some of your thoughts on 48 Hours, or just, roast our looks or anything, that's fine too. Whatever. Well, it doesn't mean I'm going to acknowledge you. It just means you're going to feed in the algorithm. That's all I want to do here. But again, thank you for subscribing and everything. We are just so close. I feel it in my bones, everybody. We are like less than 100 people away from 19,000 subscribers rather.
Oh, dang.
So let's push that through. I just want to get to 19 so we can get to 20. And once I'm over 20, I'm just going to start to feel a little bit more comfortable, because that, like, I don't know why the 20 makes me feel a little bit more comfortable than like a 19. Let's get that up to the 20. And hopefully we're going to be doing that with, the different live shows and stuff like that I'm going to be doing during the week and stuff, and maybe some HMP on the weekend. We'll figure it all out.
And it doesn't change my day at all.
Exactly. And then you don't have to do anything else. I do all the other work and stuff. You can throw your tomatoes at me. We sure enough like that. All the links will be in the show notes this week, everybody. So again, thank you to the supporters over at patreon.com/HMP. Pre-show this week, we actually do a top 5 of our upcoming movies that we would like to see in theaters this summer. You might think, and to a certain degree you are correct, that we are not chock-a-block full with a buttload of amazing movies coming out this summer. If you look at the list, it's pretty sparse, but there is still enough things to recommend it, and we would recommend you go over to the Dinger Zone there and check that out, man. We appreciate that.
As I said during the Dinger Zone, though, something spectacular happened to me at the movie theater last weekend, which is I walk into the theater lobby, and there are literally 4 movie posters on the same wall, all of movies that I want to see. That has not happened to me since I was a child.
Hey, listen, every now and then they can come across some now nothing's going to be like the summer of '89 or anything like that. We don't have things like that anymore. That's not the world that we live in.
No, we
all
can't
right.
have nice things anymore. We're a stupid country now.
We just do. Yeah, exactly. We want more things like this. We got a $5 super chat coming in here from the Night Bar that says, "Holy smokes, the boys are live." Thank you,
Dang,
Night
Night
Bard.
Bard.
Awesome. Thank you so much, buddy. And again, we're so glad that folks are out there and listening to us. Very awesome. Thank you, man. So do that. Do like the Night Bard there and go join us over there on YouTube, man. And we really appreciate it. Love you guys so much.
Hold on, I got a new term for this.
Mm-hmm.
We should call this something whenever they give us money.
Okay.
We should call this Portress Bucks. Something like that. 5 Portress Bucks.
We got your 5 Portress Bucks in here for the Night Bard.
Right, exactly.
I need. I have one. Let me. Hold on.
I can't hear it.
Oh, wait, let me try again.
Oh, it's fine, man. I'm sure it went out. I just can't hear it.
There it is. We'll put that on the button next week, and then we'll have a little cash register sound anytime when it comes in. This is the 21st century, kids. This is how it works.
5 Portress Bucks.
Ching. So do all that kind of good stuff, everybody. All right, so let's get into it, boys and girls. Let me load it up here in the thing correctly, because we are professionals up in this joint. Here's the IMDb plot line for 48 hours. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. A hard-nosed cop reluctantly, this is a tough one because it's written weird. A hard-nosed cop reluctantly teams up with a wisecracking criminal temporarily paroled to him in order to track down a killer. If you knew how many times I read that before we got on air to try to get that correct, you'd blow a gasket, because it was a bitch.
There's a lot of adjectives in that sentence, for sure.
No commas, no nothing. Give me a little bit of something. This is written by Roger Spottiswoode, who I'm guessing wrote the main part of the screenplay. And so we got a couple different ones here, because we have the and the ampersand. And let me break down how that's all going to work. So Roger Spottiswoode, he's got the top one. And then it was and, A&D, Walter Hill, ampersand, Larry Gross. That tells me then that the two of them actually worked on this screenplay together. The ampersand, that means that those two were together. So the A&D, those mean those are separate. Ampersand together. So they worked on the screenplay together. And what the IMDb tells me, that they were just kind of extensively rewriting stuff all the way up to the end. Mm-hmm. And then there's another and that's Stephen E. D'Souza, who I'm just guessing came up with enough of the basic plot that he had to be included in the credits, and that's probably why he's number 3 on the list. I
see.
That's how you break down that, everybody.
And definitely Walter Hill and the other guy whose name I forget already. Mm-hmm. If all the legends of Walter Hill are to be believed, they rented an apartment on the beach somewhere and just did mountains of cocaine.
That sounds correct.
Mm-hmm.
Directed by Walter Hill, who we just covered the other week here with Crossroads. He also did The Warriors, Streets of Fire, Brewster's Millions, Red Heat, and Another 48 Hours, and of course many more. This movie is starring Nick Nolte, Eddie Murphy, Annette O'Toole, Frank McRae, James Remar, David Patrick Kelly, Sonny Landham, and Mike Emerald. I mean, Jonathan Banks. I'm sorry.
It's Mike Armentrout.
I know. I knew it, and I knew, like, I'd said it many times before, and I'm like, I know I'm going to screw this up when I'm reading it off the prompt, and son of a bitch, here we are. I knew Ehrmantraut.
You didn't even watch that show.
I watched Breaking Bad, sir.
Oh, you did?
I watched every moment of Breaking Bad, so I knew Mike. I knew Mike very well, just not as well as as you other fine folks that are far better than me in every way, shape, or form. That's just
no one's saying that. They're thinking it, but no one's saying that.
No, exactly. So I got an admission to make here, man. Mm-hmm. I'd only ever seen maybe bits and pieces of this thing, as I'd kind of thought that would be the case.
Really?
The only part that I had vividly remember is him singing Stevie Wonder there in the jail cell and all that.
It's police. It's the police.
Yeah, or that's what I meant. What am I? Yeah, I'm thinking of the sketch of him doing Stevie Wonder in SNL. All right, too many roads crossing here. But yeah, so he's singing and everything. I remember him getting busted out for that and a little bit of the cowboy bar, but that's about it. I really didn't remember a whole heck of a lot to this, so it felt like it was kind of a not quite a first watch for me, but enough of one that it didn't feel like well trodden. I'll say.
True, but this is one of those weird movies too, where like it kind of it seems like they're trying to sweep this one away just because it is so racist. It is so incredibly racist, this
Now,
movie.
I'm glad that you say that you picked that up and said it before we watched the movie and everything. And maybe it was because you said that it kind of washed me to it. And because I was like, I didn't seem too racist comparatively. I mean,
as a child, I watched this movie first as a child because it's on HBO, like when I was a little kid. And I remember thinking then, and so into adulthood, like, oh, they're friends. And so when you see the way that Nick Nolte treats him,
oh, he is a jerk for sure. There's no doubt about that.
and I don't know, like, if it's not Nick Nolte, are you able to pull that off? Because he's like, there's, with the exception of that one little speech he has at the end where he's like, this guy's got my back and I love him. Like that, that one.
I've learned my ways.
Right. I'm so sorry I treated that man like the way that I wanted to treat him. I feel so bad about that. But like
I've seen the mirror now.
But like I don't know many actors who could do that. And it's not like you love Nick Nolte in the first place, because I don't think you're supposed to love that character.
No.
But because I mean, it's like we're smack dab in the middle of, the Dirty Harry era. And so like the anti-hero is front and center at this point. And that's basically who Nick Nolte is playing. But I kept trying to figure out, are they trying to get us to like Nick Nolte by the end? Because
that was one of my biggest questions with the entire film and stuff. And we really kind of start out with it when we see him waking up, which, by the way, I was like, Sean loves this. This guy, waking up in some foreign place and everything, and the first thing that he needs is just his drink. Is like, I got plenty of, like, what makes you think I got a clean shirt at home, lady?
Right,
all that kind of sass and everything right out the gate.
You know me too well that like he's like, yeah, I got my coffee and I got to put some go juice in that coffee. All of that, those bits. I like all of that, but I also understand. And by the way, with that scene. You could tell me that Annette O'Toole in this movie, you could tell me that she's 18 years old. You could tell me that she's 40, and I would believe you either way.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about
and
that
very old simultaneously.
And later on, like she has like 20 years of her career where when you're watching her, when you see her in a movie, you're like, is this lady old? Or is she like a kid? Like, I can't tell. There was like 20 years of that where I couldn't tell.
Yeah, she's doing it now. From what I'm to understand, her role in this initially was supposed to be bigger. She was supposed to have a much bigger role and stuff.
What a surprise! What a surprise! You mean there was specifically one person in this movie who kept eating up all the time that other people were supposed to have because they realized, oh my God, we've got this thing.
This dynamo on our hands over here.
Yes.
Yeah, but at the same time too, though. Maybe it's for the best, because word on the street is that they were probably aiming for nude scenes and stuff.
Oh yes,
those were going to be her extra scenes and whatnot.
Course.
Didn't film them, so I mean, I suppose maybe that was a good thing at the end of the day. But who's to say? Whatever. But I love this kind of. And again, I was watching this just going. I having that same thought of like, are we supposed to like this guy at this point? It's very strange. Because, and I was also thinking, like, what do I need to be horrible to women? Is that like, this is what Hollywood is telling me constantly. It's just like, hey, listen, you being nice to ladies is really screwing your game up here. You need to be like Nick Nolte and start screaming at him a little bit, slap him around a little bit, and all of a sudden they're going to love you.
Look,
that's what the movies have told us.
Portrait, no one is calling you an incel. However, you are incel adjacent.
Well,
You're very, very close. You're so close. It feels like there's like,
oh, I got some bad juju on me. There's no doubt.
There's a couple of just a couple of strings left holding you back with the rest of the norms, and that's great. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't you do it, Portress. I think that anybody who goes, who sees what Nick Nolte's doing in this movie and says to themselves, maybe that's how I should behave, sir. Sir, that's on
All
you.
jokes because it's terrible.
Yes.
But but I'm watching. I'm just going like, this is our hero, huh?
But that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
because he's so unlikable from the first scene you see him in, almost to the end, until he has that. I guess it's supposed to be like that he realizes it as the character is saying it, is kind of how Nick Nolte's playing it.
And the
where
Grinch's heart grew 2 times that day.
Exactly. Exactly. So what are you exactly? Like a green gorilla, I guess. So like and here's the thing about Nolte in this movie too, is that Nick Nolte, he doesn't really look like the way that Hollywood would make cops look, like gritty cops look later, right?
Mhm.
He sort of looks like your college civics professor that gave up hope a couple of years ago. Like that's kind of what he looks like.
Hell, I'm done with all of this. I'm going into the police force.
Right, like he always looks a little hungover, like all his clothes look ill-suited for him. Like it's all of these things, and watching it, it's like, man, it's so funny that the thing about this movie is that Hollywood has tried to recreate 3 things that this movie does very well. One is the black guy, white guy buddy cop movie, like action movie.
Great dynamic.
This is the first one that does this, and they've been trying to make this movie for 40 years now. They've kind of slowed down on that, but like for, let's say 25, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. For 25 years after this movie comes out, they are like, we need to make this movie. Like we need to try to recreate this magic. There's that. Then the second thing is Hollywood keeps saying we need another Eddie Murphy type.
Mhm.
Like they keep doing that over and over again, to the point where like when somebody like Chris Rock hits Saturday Night Live, everybody wants him to be Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, they're pushing. You can tell, especially those early ones, they're pushing him. It's just like, be like Eddie, be Eddie. Can you be
Right.
Eddie? Be Eddie, please.
Right, and he's not Eddie Murphy. He has a
No.
totally different thing. There's only one reason why you think he could be like Eddie Murphy, and so like
no. He's also small.
Yeah, it's also true. Man, he looks so small next to Nick Nolte in this movie, doesn't he? Jesus. But the third thing is that scene in the redneck bar. Hollywood has tried to recreate that scene 100 times since this movie has come out, and no one has nailed it like this movie nails that scene. Because what ends up happening in there, it feels like all the Big Mama's House movies are trying to get to that moment in the movie of this redneck bar scene. And it just, no one's Eddie, man. No one is Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, he's coming around, and that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about within this movie itself, because this is his first kind of theatrical run here for everybody, and he'd been a comedian, he'd been SNL and stuff. But we're like, this is us, finally. And for this being as funny as it is, it really is just an action-y movie. For the most part.
If Eddie Murphy isn't in this movie, this is just it's very standard, by the numbers, gritty late 70s, early 80s action movie. I mean, that's what this is.
Yeah, it's no different from the rest of those. And he's that one little factor that comes into play that does change everything up. And the funny part is he wasn't, the first to, on the list. They went to just about everybody else, and then he was like fifth banana at that point. But I feel like he had that kind of little it factor that made this work. Now, for example, one of the people supposedly that they went to was Pryor, as you might imagine.
Of course, yeah.
Pryor would have brought something to it, but Pryor probably would have been way more, surprisingly, I mean, if you kind of think about it, over the top.
Well, he would.
Eddie here is really playing it pretty solid.
I don't think Eddie Murphy is a great actor, but I think he's an amazing performer. And what this movie basically does for him is it makes him the it makes him succeed at being the best performer during that era. You know, like they're once he's in the movie, everything is basically a setup for him to be great with every scene that he's in, because they even give him the time to mess around with some of the scenes, right? Like he's clearly improving a lot of what he's saying in that bar. And I love it. Like he is just batting 1,000 in there, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, and from what I'm told, or at least read on the internet there and everything, most of his dialogue, as you might imagine, was pretty much Eddie just kind of being Eddie and whatnot.
Sure,
I get that.
Well, like we said earlier,
Yeah.
they to the filmmaker's credit, they realize what they have when they have him. Like, it's kind of incredible how smart the people are who made this movie.
Yeah, they didn't spit on this guy and just be like, "Oh, what are you, just some guy from SNL coming in here and Mr. Funny Man? You're going to come into our action world and you think that you know what blah 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 blah." I could see that attitude easily happening.
Right.
But he comes in and again, I think he at least has the presence enough and everything to be who that character would kind of be. You know, he's brash, he's over the top, he's, you know, very sure of himself and everything. But there are moments and stuff where, you know, you do see Eddie act a little bit where he'll pull it back and you can actually feel what the character's thinking for a moment. And then, of course, he jumps back into, you know, Eddie and all that kind of good stuff. But he'd be known for that for, you know, decades at this point, where all of a sudden,
He's
you know,
still doing it.
he'd be peeking out and it's just like, oh my God, what an amazing performance. Oh, okay, Eddie's back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that he also has the ability to be able to, like he has a presence that I don't think anyone else in the 80s had like him.
No.
And in this movie, you don't really get to see it very often. But when I was a kid, there was literally no one cooler than Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was literally the coolest person in the world when I was a child.
And he could just do, and he did do any and everything he kind of wanted to do, which is the kind of the thing I most respect about Eddie. Was he's just like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Like, whether it would be like singing or just, you know, weird other stuff, from like your stand up to the acting to whatever he wanted to. Eddie just did what he wanted to do.
Do you, I know you know who Bill Simmons is. Do you know, like, have you ever listened to his show, any of his shows before?
I mean, it's been, yeah.
When he got the Spotify deal and became, you know, like a multi-millionaire overnight.
Oh yeah.
One of the things he started doing was he started purchasing all the things that he wanted to get when he was a kid. And he was on air and he was asking, I can't remember who it was, but he was asking his guest, he's like, how much do you think the art at the beginning of Good Times costs? Because I would love to get that actual painting. And the guest was like, well, here's the thing with that, is that there is a very famous person who already owns that art, and there's no way they're ever going to give it away, and they will never sell it.
So you're saying I got to kill somebody. All right.
And so Simmons is like, do I know this person? And he's like, well, you know of them, that you definitely know of them. And he goes, and so he's like, okay, so it's a huge star. Yes. And it turns out to be Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy owns it. It's in one of his houses, right? Like, this piece of art is in one of his houses. And Simmons is like, I don't know if I'm rich enough to be able to buy a piece of artwork from Eddie Murphy. It was so funny at the moment.
Yeah. It's like, when you think about it, I mean, the man had an amazing, unprecedented run of just wild success from like 80s into the 90s, and just like whatever the man touched was just like, it turned to gold. Even if it was kind of crap, people ended up watching it and stuff to a point.
I mean, it's like, it's no less than 8 movies. Like, I'm thinking of 8 movies off the top of my head, and they all came out at the same time, where it's the biggest movie in the world, and Eddie Murphy is the star of all of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm always confused on his stand-up timeline, what years he was really kind of cooking with all those.
Well, with Delirious and stuff, Delirious is after 48 Hours, because the
Okay.
thing I know about this movie is, that band that's playing in the cool bar later on in the movie.
We've got the black car, we got the cool bar, and the redneck bar.
Right. That cool bar. I wrote it down. I have that note because I had to look it up because I was so fascinated by that band, because we see that band a lot. So that band, they're not playing it in the bar, but the boys are back in town. That song,
Yeah.
that's like the theme of this movie. That's them. That's that band.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And the name of the bar is Vroman's Bar. and they're called the Bus Boys. And after this movie, they opened for Eddie Murphy on tour. The Bus Boys are his opening act. And I knew that, but I thought I got it reversed, because I thought that Eddie Murphy was kind of like strong-armed the Bus Boys into this movie. No, they met on the movie, and them and Eddie Murphy got along so well that Eddie Murphy, in between takes and stuff, would like go and like mess around with the band. So like they go on the road together after this. Like he kind of tried to bring them along for however long his Delirious tour was. I think it was 1.5 years. And they end up opening for other big acts at the time. But I just found it completely fascinating that, like, so what Eddie Murphy took away from this movie was the Bus Boys. It's so interesting, man.
I tell you what, man, I got a band. Yeah, listen, I mean, nothing. I feel like he kind of wanted, as I think anybody would want when you're in the entertainment business, at some point you want to be James Brown.
Oh, sure.
You want to have your band coming in and you just kind of like a tan, 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 tan,
Yes.
get a count out and down it. Like, who doesn't want that? I think everybody, at least every man wants that, I think.
Of course.
Put a cape over me when I'm tired.
So at the beginning of this movie, I was completely shocked to see Joel Silver's name as one of the co-producers on this movie.
But then I remembered it's the 80s and cocaine exists. So
well, right, and it immediately made me think, because I hadn't seen Joel Silver's name in forever at the front of a movie, and it made me think: is there anyone on Earth who is more happy that Harvey Weinstein exists than Joel Silver?
Oh, I doubt it. That guy's got to be super stoked.
He gets to hide under the mushroom cloud of Harvey Weinstein. Was like, whoa, man, at least I'm not him. But I'm sure there are many, many, many stories of the exact same thing happening.
Oh, Shawnee, all those prostitutes are dead.
Oh, you're right.
They don't exist anymore. Come on, they were never real people.
Speaking of prostitutes, I love the 80s so much, because the prostitutes that are in this movie are like clearly former models and stuff. It's like, oh, of course, that's what they did in the 80s, is that they had like underwear models playing prostitutes in their movies. And also the other thing that just really blew me away is when Nick Nolte is walking down the aisle in the prison, in the jail, and the first guy he walks by is this African American guy in a jail cell, and behind him, we're supposed to believe that this black guy has hung up a Confederate Stars and Bars flag in his jail cell. And I was like, oh, 80s, you're so stupid. No black person in the world never has ever hung a Confederate flag. Never happened.
Hey, you saw that Chappelle sketch, Blind Klansman.
I have seen the Blind Klansman sketch. Yeah.
It's not completely unprecedented.
He ended up divorcing his wife.
What an amazing button on an already brilliant sketch. You're already
so
like,
good.
This is so good, and then they just hit one more out of the park for you, just on a counter. They're just like, bam, enjoy. You're like, I did. Thank you, Dave Chappelle. My word.
So, I had to look it up because I remembered that Eddie Murphy was really, really young on Saturday Night Live, and so he had to have been young here. Can you guess how old Eddie Murphy is in this movie?
It's one of the this is one of the tough parts right here, because especially once we get into the 80s and stuff like that, you have he's not quite as bad as O'Toole is here and everything, but it's one of those like and especially because black don't crack. He could be 19 years old. He could be he could if you told me he was 35 in this, I'd be like maybe. I'd say maybe.
Take a guess. He's very young.
I'm gonna 22.
21.
Damn.
21 years old. Guess how old Nick Nolte is in this movie?
Well, Nick Nolte looks 47.
Nick Nolte's 41 in 48 hours.
Oh, hell, dollar. Like, that's, man.
I've been giving Nick Nolte shit forever because I'm like, he looks so bad. He does look bad, but it's because he's so old. He was 41 when he made 48 hours, man. That means that when he was in the Hulk movie, he had to have been at least in his early 60s.
Yeah. And he looked hard and worn up in 82 here.
What he had. I mean, all that beach time he did, and all the drinking and drugs. I mean, for as hard as that man has been living, he looks pretty good for 41 in this movie.
Right. That said, though, it would still be another 10 years, and he would get People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive.
I don't understand that one.
1992, Nick Nolte, sexy, like he joins the likes of like Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin.
Look, there's
people
no
that you can understand.
Like I don't get the Sean Connery one either, because I like if it was 25-year-old Sean Connery, I would totally understand.
Yeah, you know what it is,
man, a lot. But like 60-year-old bald wearing a turtleneck and a gold chain, Sean Connery, not so much.
Man. I'd still everyone's mother here. I'll tell you that right now.
Definitely could have.
Even with the threats of slaps, they would still come a running. Everybody, he'd be like, "Oh, please, light one up for me."
Oh man, I don't want to derail us too bad. So, remind me when we're done with this episode to tell you the Joshua Jackson. Is that who's in Karate Kid? Joshua Jackson. Mm-hmm. Remind me to tell you the Joshua Jackson Ocean's 11 story. It is so good. It is so good. But we're veering off entirely. And I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's all my fault.
That's okay. There's a couple of things I love about this movie that are just awesome decisions and stuff. One of them is his car.
Yeah, great car.
Love this car. It is just like the biggest rusty hunk of junk, bolts and everything, but still got a layer of cool to it and everything. Mm-hmm. Just enough, but it looks like a car that this guy would probably drive.
Yeah. Oh,
like
totally.
This beat up kind of piece of junk from this detective who clearly doesn't, he doesn't even care about a clean shirt or everything. So he's not going to give a damn about his car. Leave it with the top open all night. Who cares?
There's also we're not at the point yet in the 80s with action movies where like this character Nick Nolte, he doesn't care about this car. Like he drives it. It's his car. He's not like, what? She's a classic. Like he's not saying any of that shit.
He's just like, it's my car. What do you want from me? Get out of here.
Right. And if you give it a year or two, this character would have been completely attached to his car.
Or give it another 5 years or so and have it directed by like Michael Mann, and then it becomes a Ferrari.
Also true.
So like something like that would end up happening, where it's just like, Michael Bay did it in the 90s too, where it's just like, oh, you're a police detective in Miami? Porsche.
Well, I mean, that is the thing with this movie too, because Lawrence Gordon is the director of this movie. Lawrence Gordon loves himself some.
You mean Walter Hill?
I'm sorry. Lawrence Gordon is the DP, probably. Okay. Lawrence Gordon loves himself a wet street, because all the streets are wet in this movie. All of them, all the time.
You got it, man. You got it. It's like it's if you're not wetting down the streets, as far as I'm concerned, you leave money on the table, even though you're spending money to spread all that water. You understand what I'm saying, though?
I do.
It makes nothing but sense.
Another thing I want to talk about with this movie is that I noticed this because the movie takes place in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. when you're in a movie in New York at this time, New York looks so very different than how it looks now. But I've been to San Francisco recently. It still basically looks like this does in this movie.
They didn't flatten out any of the hills yet?
Still haven't flattened out the hills.
Shame.
Chinatown still looks exactly the same.
Hey,
But
it's Chinatown, okay? You're not going to do anything about it.
Nothing you can do about it. It's Chinatown. But like it was kind of interesting to me because I got like that kind of weird effect of like, oh, I think I've been there, like that kind of thing, because it looks so similar now as it did then, which just doesn't happen, man.
I also kind of looked at it and just go like, oh, it still looks like Bullet,
Yeah.
I mean, and that was 15 years earlier than this, so it's like it's kind of very much stayed. I think, and I mean, it sounds funny, but I think the hills and different things like that do add to a bit of that kind of keeps the for lack of a better word, iconography of the city. Like that's a part of the skyline as much as anything else is all of the kind of this, that's, and the others. And they show it off well enough here. It looks like you don't. It doesn't smack you in the face. It's not The Room telling you that it's San Francisco every 5 seconds, but they do let you know enough of it. But they're not just going, cut away to the Golden Gate Bridge, please.
We do have that one scene of the Golden Gate Bridge, but it is not so ostentatious where you're like, we get it, you're in San Francisco, please move on.
There was no graphic that went across it like approved by the Tourist Board of San Francisco. Thankfully, none of that going on. But speaking of going on, one thing that I don't think that I quite expected with this, and what I come to find out was something that they were almost worried about, was actually how violent this film actually is.
It is crazy violent.
A lot of shootouts, especially there at the beginning and everything, which I really think lays the kind of groundwork for this movie and puts it in this sort of reality and everything. And it goes, you know what? We're going to be shooting a lot of people. People are going to be dying in this movie. So it's like, we might be laughing and having some comedy, but the stakes are real. So at least they kind of established that early on and it lent a bit of credibility to the movie, I thought.
I totally agree, man. I believe this. If Eddie Murphy is not in this movie, this is one of those movies like where like, oh, you know what? That movie wasn't bad. Like when you see it, you're like, oh, I wonder why I've never heard of this movie before.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how important he is to this film. It's not like, it's like Dirty Harry without Dirty Harry, this movie, if you don't have Eddie Murphy in it.
No, exactly. But we also at the same time too, we do have like cool actual kind of villains and everything. Well, like James Remar's like kind of killing it.
He is.
Looking like a baby.
He is, man. I my very first note I wrote down, because he's the first person we see in this movie. I write this note. James Remar will always be 65 years old to me, talking about how his drug addiction killed his career. So seeing him young and handsome was quite a surprise.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at him go.
Yeah, and he's good in it. Like you can tell, like, oh, this guy's actually like a good actor, because by the time we see him as like Dexter's dad and stuff, he'd kind of given up at that point. So he's just like, all right, yeah.
It's like, you know what sells the role? This.
Yes.
The visage.
Yeah.
I show this face on the screen and everybody knows what's up. And they go along with it because I'm James Remar.
Because I'm James Remar. I should have had a bigger career, but my drug abuse really killed that.
But he looks like he's drugged out here, like when he's watching TV and stuff. You know,
he's totally method acting in that scene.
I wouldn't be shocked. It's like, hey, stop watching, cartoons. Like, no, bro, I'm just a little zonked.
Listen, I'm about to get fired from the Terminator, so this is all I got now.
I do what I do. But the David Patrick Kelly, who gives kind of a same, I don't want to say same because it's not that, but a very Scorpio-like performance from Dirty Harry. He kind of brings that vibe here, that sort of killer vibe where he's like a little manic, a little crazy and stuff like that. And also a little guy. What a great little guy he is. He's so tiny and his head's friggin' gigantic. Yeah. It's so great.
Yeah, I totally agree.
What a what a great scary moment too, like him and his girlfriend kind of just walking along there and then getting snatched up, threatened in the car, and then they kidnap her, throw him out in the street and be like, see ya, you know, you'll get her back when we get our money.
Yeah.
Damn, that's like what a and he sells it so well. He's walking around the streets, he looks like a crazed psychopath. So good.
He does. He also looks like he looks like a stage actor, and this is his first movie though. There are moments where you're watching this guy because you know he's in everything.
Sometimes
in the 80s.
I'm telling it to the back.
Yes, and there's a lot of that happening. Like, what are you crazy, man? like he has a lot of moments like that.
At the same time, too, that is very much the performance in Dirty Harry.
No, it is.
He's kind of getting along that kind of like he's vibing off of that. I think for sure.
Yeah, me too. The police station scene.
Yes. Oh, the captain is like amazing.
Well, I'm talking about the oneer.
Oh, yes. Talk about that.
I've seen this movie maybe 3 times. Like I haven't watched that a ton. This was not something that I constantly went back to. It wasn't in Shawnee's vault.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely didn't notice that there is a scene that is about 3 minutes long that goes through this police station, and it is so well done, you don't even notice it. And they were about halfway through it, and I was like, I can't remember seeing the camera movement on like.
I need to watch again because like it didn't hit me. I read an IMDb thing about it, and I'm just like, I didn't see that. But one thing that I did notice, and this is probably, and I noticed a lot within that scene and a couple other scenes throughout this entire movie, which I think is a really interesting thing that Walter Hill is doing. There is a lot of foreground action, a lot of foreground passing in this movie.
Yep.
And a lot of, especially in that police sequence. What a train conducting moment all that is, because there are people crossing in front of Lynn's, there's people crossing in the back, left and right, going this way and that. It's a very busy frame and everything like that. And I remember people saying like, oh, we didn't see things cut. And I wonder, and again, I got to go back and watch because it didn't hit me, at least viscerally, of like, oh, that's a single shot thing. I wonder, again, I'm talking about my ass here, but if it was if some of those shots were covered by kind of walking fronts.
I didn't notice it.
Like I said, I'm not sure.
I didn't notice it. I mean, maybe, but I didn't notice it. Also, going to that, because the AD team here on this movie, you are right, is second to none. Because when they are shooting the Chinatown scene and they're walking down a very wet street, and they're shooting through foreground, for lack of a better term, let's call them Christmas lights.
Yeah, there's something going on.
And Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy are in the center of frame. And as they're walking down the street, camera is going through Christmas lights. And the second they get through Christmas lights, people start crossing in front of them on the street. And then people start crossing behind them. And then the street is getting busier and busier. And I was like, this movie, I have not seen anything like this in a movie in a million years. That AD team is just amazing. Like they are really, really good at their job.
Some real sneaky stuff going on that, like, if you're not looking for it, you might not even quite notice it. But like, if you're looking, it's like what they're doing here. And I think that's also a good part of it is that it's done so well that like, I think a lot of people might not even see it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what makes the movie so good, is that there's so many things that they're doing in this movie that you just don't even see as like it's just part of the movie, man. You know, like you and I, unfortunately, have been given the devil's mischief now that we dissect movies too much, and we're both comedy broken. So like all of these things make a movie where like it's the thing that my daughter's boyfriends complain about, because they both do it, where they're like, that's not the correct thing. Like they're pointing out things in the background, or like, oh, that water glass has been refilled since the last, like stuff like that.
Oh.
where my oldest daughter's fiance was like, I can't watch movies with your daughter.
You know, the thanks, right? Oh, no mise en scène in this one. I'll tell you that one right now. Yeah, the opening action scene where they're going through so much bullets and stuff going on. There's a couple of later ones like that. Just good stuff. I love little tiny junk like Nolte like reloading his gun and everything. I don't know why that gives me a lot of pleasure, but it does. So just seeing him kind of, but doing it fast and everything too. And all the things that he said that were correct. He is that crabby little, jerkwad guy and stuff, but he is right. Yeah. Again, another great thing that you like about that kind of action hero-y sort of protagonist. We'll call him that. That's probably more of the better term. Sure. You give him that kind of little push there and everything, and it absolutely works for this. And Eddie going up against him is kind of a perfect foil. They really do bounce off of each other well. And I certainly, I guess, since they did another 48 hours, I suppose they enjoyed each other's company enough to, do another one, unless that money train was, rather large, which maybe it was.
Another 48 hours is the rare instance of a movie that it's almost like Highlander, and the sequel ruins the original movie.
Oh, no.
Where the guy who is in the police station, he's a bigger guy, he's got a mustache, and he played the bad guy in everything except for in 48 hours. He's like just another cop in the bullpen. He ends up being the Iceman who they've been going after, who Nick Nolte's character's been going after for like however long.
Oh my gosh.
And he is the secret bad guy and it was like, are you kidding me, man? So Nick Nolte is a bad enough cop. Like, he's not good enough at his job that he's been working next to this guy for 10 years. And he never knew that he was like the secret criminal he's been looking for all along. It is awful.
What if Secret Bad Guy was a comic book?
I think Secret Bad Guy should be the name of our show.
Welcome back to Secret Bad Guy. Don't tell nobody. And they're like, judging by your views, we haven't.
We can't call it Dirty Babies.
No. Again, so let's talk about the bar scene. The bar scene is probably, I would say, maybe the most iconic bit of the whole movie.
Without a doubt. It's like I said at the top of the show here, man. Like, it is literally like for 30 years, Hollywood's been trying to recreate that scene. It's just magic. It is complete magic how everything is set up. The second he throws that shot glass through the mirror at the bartender, like that is an absolutely golden moment.
But what they're really good at showing you is like, so Nolte's like, go ahead. I tell you what, you think that you're hot shit. Let's go ahead, have you go out there and you do this thing since you know so well. I love the reaction that all of a sudden it turns out that it's a redneck bar. And like, because he goes in and is like, hey, man, I got all this. They're like, oh, you think you do? Well, it's a redneck bar. So you don't have the sway here that you normally would. Let's see how you do with this. They throw him in there. And at the beginning, when he's talking to the bartender, Eddie's doing it like a really, like, we may tried Eddie for his acting and stuff, but I feel like he's really playing kind of that, like, a little naive there at the beginning and just kind of like he's not quite into it yet. He hasn't even quite convinced himself that he's fully in it. But by the time he throws the glass, that's him just going like, I'm fully committing to this character. I'm really going to go into it. And that's when he's, goes off on his rant and everything. But I thought that was like a really kind of smart early, lead up right into that to make it seem like the character's actually going through something instead of somebody that can automatically right off the bat just, smash everything out of the park.
Which he will do a year later in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah. And it's a different movie, though, at the same time as well. At least he's a cop there as opposed to, criminal pretending to be a cop at this particular point. So.
Right. But what I'm trying to say is that I think that this is basically a vehicle to give him Beverly Hills Cop. Right. So because because of this scene in 48 Hours, I don't think he gets Beverly Hills Cop if it isn't for that, for the redneck bar scene.
Yeah, because it shows that he can kind of play that persona and have the and because at the same time, think about it, like we said, Eddie Murphy, kind of a small guy, known mostly for comedy and stuff like that. So, but you might question yourself of like, could he be, a tough enough law enforcement vibe that you'd buy it and everything? And in this movie, he shows you, he definitely clearly can do that. And then when we add the awesome part of, really Eddie Murphy having grown at that point by the time that he's doing Beverly Hills Cop, he can lean more into that comedy and we don't have to worry as much about the kind of straight, arrow portion of the character and everything, which, we don't have to worry about either one of those in this. We just kind of let Eddie be Eddie, it seems like, in these. At least to me, it feels like we're going to let this guy lean into the things that make him good.
Right. I literally think that there's probably a couple of sessions where they're like, Eddie, we want you to come up with some stuff before the scene. What do you got so we can write around it? And he probably is giving them that.
How much cocaine do you think Eddie Murphy's done in his life? And if he has, when is he doing it here, or is he doing?
Oh, without a doubt, man. He's too wiry and skinny to not be on cocaine at this point.
At some point,
and he's got money, for the first time in his entire life. I mean, like real money. There's no way he's not on cocaine at this point.
Yeah, New York and everything with that stuff, and you got access to it like nobody's business, especially at this this point.
And everybody who's around him wants to be around this really cool guy. So the only way you know how to do that in the early 80s is, I've got this thing.
Oh, look at here. Check inside my ring.
Right, of course.
Oh, all right. Come on down to the Eddie Murphy party, everybody. He's going to sing us a song.
There's no doubt. I mean, for me, it would be more rare to hear about a movie set where cocaine wasn't flying all over the place in the 80s. Like,
no.
It just would be surprising.
Okay, I have to talk about this. I didn't write a note, but I'm so glad I remembered it. What the sweet hell is the music in this movie? Oh my God. So is it James Horner, if I'm not mistaken. It is like you've got your standard kind of what I would call your 80s cinematic soundtrack and everything with your, your orchestral score and stuff. But for whatever reason, we got steel drums coming out this mother like nobody's business. Why? Why?
I don't know. I think that they don't really figure out soundtracks until later, unless you're like John Williams. I think that they hadn't nailed down. Like, think of how bad, like the soundtrack to. Like even Trading Places, which is after this movie, that's a bad soundtrack also.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, man, you just need to give us some music that sounds like that's like, like moving forward.
Yeah, it's that music was bad. The Redneck Bar, they clearly were not playing their instruments at all.
No, I know.
I'm just like, oh, this is bad. And it doesn't even look like what they would be playing, which is also another annoying thing. It's just like, no, that's not how you would be jamming along to this song. But they're just like, strummy, 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 strum. Okay, I'm a musician, sure, pal.
It is exceptionally bad in this movie, though. Like this movie, it announces itself. That's how bad it is.
I do like that bartender though. Bartender was real good. Had a couple of like just his exchange with him there and everything.
Oh yeah, but I mean
stuff like that.
That guy's been acting forever. Like, you see him in everything. He just is really young in this movie.
Exactly. Everybody except for Nick Nolte is very young in this.
Right, exactly.
I'm sorry, darling. I'm just old as hell and I ain't gonna do nothing about it. He still has the gruff. Like the gruff is here in 1981. Like I know, like it feels like we were all starting to like really rip on him come like, the Incredible Hulk and all that kind of stuff. But like, no, we were still doing that 25 years previous to that movie. So,
man, there's a reason why everyone laughs at that Patton Oswalt impression. It's because it is correct. Mm-hmm. He has sounded like this his entire life.
Now they do also. I do want to give a little Nick Nolte love/hate from the Riff Tracks guys. Also lean into a bit of the old Nolte there as well on account of glug glug glug.
Of course, man. Yeah.
Hey, there's somebody that's got a drinking problem. Let's compare them to Nick Nolte. Or Nick Nolte.
Well, I mean,
either you or Joe Don Baker, man. Which one do you want?
When you have such a spectacular mugshot photo that gets released, people, you aren't going to be able to escape that thing. Like, that is still how I see Nick Nolte retroactively. With his previous work before that made me see Nick Nolte movies like that.
So we got a comment that says, I think Riff Track does those little Nick Nolte jokes a little too much.
Well, that's kind of their thing, right? I mean, how many times can you make the same jokes? They're going to find out.
I did remember. So I just like somebody asked in like a comment section once. They were like, "Why did they go so hard on Nick Nolte?" I'm like, "Well, Nick Nolte had a very long rush there of just being kind of a horrible person. So
Yeah.
like, he kind of warranted it for a minute.
Also
I don't
true.
know what he's doing now. Is he all right?
Let me call him. I'll find out.
He's got to be 1,000 years old. He's 41 in 1982.
He's 41 in 1982. So yes, he's probably. I mean, he's still alive, but it might be like a technically still alive kind of a thing, you know.
I'm just barely breathing, pal. It's all good.
Look,
born February 8th, 1941. I just checked to IMDb just to see if he was still alive. I was hoping.
So he's 80.
He's still here. Yeah.
Wow.
85. Yeah. Man, big old time. But yeah, ultimately though, I would say I enjoyed this movie. Again, it was cool kind of seeing the first little bits of Eddie Murphy and knowing that this is his first cinematic outing here and everything, and how assured he seems of himself.
And he comes out swinging. Comes out swinging in this movie.
Doesn't feel like a newbie.
Are we about to wrap up here?
Indeed, we are.
Let me go through my notes if I could, because I
Please.
took a bunch and see anything that I didn't say earlier in our show. Lesbian lady from Star Trek is in this movie. The Next Generation, she her character gets killed off because she said she didn't want to be on Star Trek anymore after like the first season of the Next Generation.
Tasha Yar, that lady?
Yes, she's in this.
Oh, Denise Crosby, that's it. I'm like, what is her damn name? I could think of her character name from Next Generation, but not the actress. I'm sorry.
I didn't even know the name of the character, and I like
I got the glasses for a reason, sir.
Mine are just off screen. Another one here. Oh, this is a good one. How many times do you think Nick Nolte was actually too rough with the actors in this movie that it made them complain?
There's a couple of scenes where he hit the hell out of somebody.
But did it make rough enough to where it made the actors complain to the director? How many do you think did that?
I'm gonna say there's probably 2 complaints, but there should have been many more.
Man, it is crazy how much he's going after people in this movie.
He's hitting some people for real. Like you could tell when punches are pulled and stuff like that, but like no, he's hitting some cats here.
There is that scene, that super famous scene where Eddie Murphy opens the door and the guy slams into it, and he's like, "Oh, that looked her real bad when you slammed into my door." Like that, you know, it's that scene when Nolte comes outside and starts roughing that guy up. You can tell that guy's actually getting roughed up. And at one point, Nolte backs up a bit and he ends up hitting Eddie Murphy. And Eddie Murphy is like, whoa, like in the scene. It's crazy.
I'm not ready for this. What's going on?
Yes, exactly. Another thing, did you find Eddie Murphy's suit cool in this movie?
I thought it looked pretty good.
It looks good on him.
Yeah, it fit. It's tailored well to him and everything. I thought he looked real good.
It's just one of those suits that now it just looks like the most 80s suit ever to me. But it does
a little bit, but
him.
it's kind of come back a little bit. Like, I mean, you could, if the biggest difference really is if you kind of just shape the shoulders a little different.
Right.
If you shape the shoulders a little bit different and took in your lapels just a tiny little bit, like that'd kind of modern it up just enough for a double breast like that. But he looks good in it. He, like, again, slender dudes can pull off a suit like nobody's business.
Well, but a skinny man these days would never wear a double-breasted.
Not like that, he wouldn't. No,
because
he'd look too bad. But hair's looking slick on him too, and everything.
Looks
mustache
great.
Perfect. Love it.
His mustache is always perfect, though.
Isn't it though? It's just like what is that? Is that a glue on, sir? It's just too damn good.
Right. So Nick Nolte is tall. Nick Nolte is towering over Eddie Murphy in a lot of scenes in this movie. Nick Nolte driving around in a Porsche 356 Speedster, I guarantee you was not fun for that man.
No.
It looks like the smallest car in the entire world. He's got to jam himself into that thing and drive it around.
Yeah, and then try to shift.
Yeah, and try to shift right with his knees right there.
They were doing paddles back then. He was shifting, man.
his shin is just like jammed up. Man, that had
I
to
can't
suck.
do this damn thing at all.
Every time he hits a bump, it's just grinding him. Ooh, that must have hurt.
I did like the kind of, the leaving the car and the thing for 3 years. And it's just like, 3 years? I've been busy. I'm like, I thought that's kind of fun.
Yeah, it's good. Is this movie the last time a black person ever listened to the band The Police?
In movie form, perhaps.
I don't know if a black person has ever actually heard a Sting or the Police song. I think that is a real thing. Here's my last note. So Frank McRae, the guy who plays the chief in this movie,
yes,
his role is so iconic as the chief in this that not once but twice he's in other movies that are parodies of his role in this movie, because he's the police chief in The Last Action Hero,
right?
And he's the police chief in Loaded Weapon 1.
Well, he's the most over-the-top character in a movie with some fairly over-the-top characters. He does feel like he's almost from another comedic movie, because he's going in so hard. Because we all laugh at the police chief in Beverly Hills Cop. He's another great one, another great police chief. But this guy makes that guy look like nothing. Yeah. He's going so over the top here, and everything is, damn it, you're just gonna. That's like he is at 11 from the get-go. He's not like starting out and being like, damn it, Nick Nolte, if you don't do this one more time, we're gonna get. No, he's screaming from the get-go. It is amazing how just insane this police captain is. So good.
So before we go, has anybody been like? I know that one comment came up. Has anybody left comments?
We got a couple here. The big one, we did get a $5 here from Alex. Alex said, tip off just happened. The NBA is going on right now. Everybody.
Oh, dang.
And in his neck of the woods, so you can't blame him there. If it was somebody else, if he was like, but when it's your state, that's okay. I'll allow it then. He says, I'll catch this on the replay and Patreon feed. Sean is a good looking man. Take some lessons from Adam. Go Pacers. Hey, what the fuck is that about? You're lucky you paid me money for that comment. Wait, where's I've got the jingle button. Will be here next week for the Portress cash register. What are we calling that again?
Portress bucks.
So
I will say
Portress bucks in.
I will say this, Alex, is that from time to time when it comes to like looks and things of that nature, Adam will listen to me, not with everything, but from time to time, Adam will be like, oh, I got to check that out.
I was told to wear a double-breasted suit more often. I will say this. My goal for quite some time, losing weight and everything, was once I get to the point where I do want to get a, custom fit suit and everything, or at least, one that's kind of made to measure or whatnot. Not there yet, but I mean, it's on the list. Don't worry.
Bro, when you get there, because remember when I got real skinny? Like I got real skinny after my divorce. Ever since I saw it, I wanted to get I'm blanking on his name. He started off as a child actor from he was on Third Rock from the Sun. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's suit from the movie with the spinning top.
Inception.
Thank you. I wanted that vest suit so bad.
It's a good looking suit.
It's a great
all the suits are really good looking in that movie.
But that vest suit, vest with the shirt sleeves, that is the max suit in that movie, in my opinion. And so when I got skinny enough, guess one of the first things that I big purchased was a fitted suit that was a different color, because we are colored differently. I'm a swarthy man, and he looks like a little angel, and so like purple. Yeah, I went purple. I went full Joker. No, I went. It was like a charcoal, and it was dynamite. Look at that handsome boy.
Hey, so the dog has decided to come on for people that are listening.
He's very cute. That dog is very cute.
All right, fella, we'll take you out in a minute. All right, well, let's get down to it. If we had to recast this sucker, it's pretty much impossible.
You can't. I mean, you said it at the top of the show. Richard Pryor, maybe for Eddie Murphy, maybe. But even
I
then,
remember who else they said was a possibility in there. Shucks, I forget. But there's a couple of your usual suspects, you would imagine.
Is it the guy that they fought over from Saturday Night Live for casting Saturday Night Live, and they ended up with Eddie Murphy instead of Byron Allen?
Man, I tell you what, Byron Allen, we would have had a different world on our hands with that one.
Man, if Byron Allen is in that redneck scene. I don't like you, crackers.
I don't like white people. Why do you sound like us then?
What did you call him last time I name checked him? What did you call him? The world's sneakiest billionaire, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. He 100% is.
Mm-hmm.
And he's selling off all these things that he's got right now because he sees like the future television taking a dump.
Yeah.
So he's selling right now, man. So like if whatever Byron Allen's doing, you need to catch up and do that shit too.
Mm-hmm.
The man's beyond it. We've got how am I supposed to say your damn name? How do you figure these say that?
My guess, because I can see this. And I say, if you haven't seen it or it's been a long time, watch the In Living Color parody. Oh, I don't know who this is.
Oh, I know who it is. It's Matthew Vandiver, but I can't. I'm just trying to figure out how to pronounce the damn name he's put up for his username. But that's all. But yeah, there was apparently they did a send up of this here movie on In Living Color with Damon Wayne and Jim Carrey in their respective roles.
I also have not seen it.
Been a minute there, so yeah, maybe I'm surely that's on YouTube. It's all on YouTube these days.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm just gonna say it's 1982. Gary Coleman. Because if we're not doing it with somebody that's good, the rule is you got to do it with somebody that would be totally wrong for the role.
You're not wrong. They gotta basically pick him up and put him on the bar so we could throw that shot glass through the mirror.
See, we're already coming up with some pretty good bits for the thing. He's got to stand on a stool to get up to the bartender's face and everything.
Pretty good.
Another level of comedy that we aren't getting because Eddie Murphy's just a regular size adult. Missing out on everybody.
Since Bruce is not here, no one has mentioned the what you talking about Nick Nolte, so I will do it.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
The lowest hanging fruit.
Okay, so we're down to it. We got to give this bad boy up to 5 stars here. Sean, what do you rate? 48 out.
It is impossible for me to look at this movie like from like a clinical view, just because it is so wrapped up in my childhood. This is one of like the 5 big Eddie Murphy movies when I was little, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There was this, Trading Places, the 2 Beverly Hills Cop movies, and Golden Child were the 5, right? Like once I got older, then there's other also awesome Eddie Murphy movies. But those are the 5 from when I was a kid where like everybody, even if you hadn't seen the movie, you knew all the funny lines from these movies because it's Eddie Murphy and he's the coolest person in the world.
He just was. He was like, and again, so like for those of you that are like my age and stuff, and we're this 82 is when I was born, so I wasn't seeing 48 Hours by any stretch of the imagination. But this, like, he is to like the 80s certainly what Jim Carrey ended up being for us in the 90s and stuff.
Oh.
It's like this guy just couldn't, he was everywhere and could do no wrong as far as anyone was concerned.
Yeah, that's the best correlation. Like as big as Jim Carrey was in the 90s and it's actually Eddie Murphy is bigger because Eddie Murphy also has he's in more things. He also has a music career. What? Why did Eddie Murphy have a music career? Well, he did. And
I will listen to My Girl Wants to Party All the Time, like unironically. That song bangs, dude. That song it's like it's just that pure 80s kind of. I love it.
Right.
I think it's great.
He also had like the world's best studio musicians working on his album. I mean,
Rick James producing your thing, so you're going to do fine.
Right. It's gonna sound good.
And even Rick makes a little cameo in that music video. He had to worm his way in there.
Of course.
Like, hey, man, get out of the way.
You know what I would say? I would say this movie is like trying to look at it from a bird's eye view. I would say that this movie, just based on Eddie Murphy's performance alone, is a 4-star movie out of 5. He is so exceptional in this movie. You can't take his eyes off him, and he's 21 years old, man. That is insane to me.
Yeah, especially with again the assuredness that he has in this role and in himself and stuff. He just walks in and owns all of it. Your eye is immediately drawn to him because he's kind of just the most dynamic person in the frame. And he would just continue to do this for the next 40 years. It's kind of amazing.
Man.
Really, really great.
How about you?
For me, I'm going to go 3.5 on this one. Just a little bit shy. I think part of it's that music.
I ain't fighting you on it. I totally get it. If you weren't wrapped up in it at the time like I was, like I totally get it.
But I could also see how anyone could listen to that and not actually hear it. But like once you hear it, it's going to be like, oh, geez, that's there like that.
It's true. It's really, really awful.
I need a pina colada here in San Francisco. Get out of town. So yeah, that is it, everybody. Two good recommendations. If it's been a minute since you've seen 48 Hours, it's probably one of the lesser thought of, Eddie Murphy movies right off the bat, because I think a lot of people go to your obvious, like, if we're going to Eddie Murphy and cop type movies, I think most people jump to your Beverly Hills Cop and stuff like that. So, but what we'll be doing next week, I don't know. I think we're up to, let's since you're here, Bruce isn't here. He doesn't get a choice. You get a choice. What are we doing next week?
Man, I'm so nervous to pick it, because I'm saving Beverly Hills Cop 2 for you, because you're the bigger Tony Scott fan between the two of us. Mm-hmm. You should get to choose that movie. Do you want to choose that movie?
Let me, because I forget, because more or less I would like to, since with Eddie and everything, when we're specifically focusing on his 80s run of movies here and everything, I do want to pick, at least chronologically, what would be the next best choice.
Okay. So
give me half a second here to scroll. So Trading Places is next, and so I think that may be our best bet.
Because I'm gonna pick Coming to America, which at the time was literally the funniest movie ever made.
Yeah, and so and we're looking at 88 with that one, so that'll be kind of our out with that one. That'll be the last one of the month, and we'll have Bruce kind of pick something here somewhere.
I'm so nervous. I'm so freaking nervous to watch that movie, though, man. Like I'm so worried there's a black hole effect on that one. Like, man.
Oh, believe me, there probably is. I could be wrong, but at the same time, too, you never know.
Whereas with with the Beverly Hills Cop movies, like the first one is kind of more like 48 Hours than anything else.
Oh yeah, very much. And again, that's also one of those things that like this movie wasn't initially written for Eddie and everything, so it's not going to be quite built to his speed and everything.
Whereas the sequel is just Eddie all day, and it's directed by frickin' Tony Scott. So
yeah, no, that guy, he all right.
Mm-hmm.
He all right. So yeah, we'll be doing Trading Places next week. Let me write this in so I get it correctly. Is there anything else that you'd like to plug for us in the meantime?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, that was enough time for me to write the words Trading Spaces into the script, so I knew exactly what to do. So that is it, everybody. Again, thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you.
Yeah, super cool, man.
We'd love to have more of that.
People care enough about our dumb crap that they are showing up live. It's awesome.
So yeah, man, do that next week. We'll see if we can get Bruce back on here. We'll cover some more Eddie Murphy here and whatnot, and hopefully we'll have you along as well. We got that all again streaming all on either YouTube, Twitch, or Kick. All the links and everything will be available in the show notes there and everything. That is it, everybody. Join us next week for Trading Places for Sweet Sean. To go back from the internet, the absent Bruce Leslie. I'm Adam Porcher, reminding you to get out there and watch some movies, you dirty babies.
I really like the job you did with that, Adam.
There it is. All right. We did it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.